the vanished American metropolis. Then, over 400 years ago, Spanish explorers pushed deep into what is now Kansas. Instead of barren plains, they claimed to have found a sprawling settlement, an immense city of more than 20,000 people. They called it Etzanoa. Imagine a metropolis of the plains, stretching for miles, alive with activity, rivaling some of Europe's cities at the time. Now, today that city is gone, vanished. For centuries, Etzanoa was thought to be just a legend, an exaggeration, or perhaps a misunderstanding. But recent discoveries suggest the Spaniards weren't lying. Traces of an immense, forgotten civilization are surfacing again. Who built Etzanoa? Why was it abandoned? And why did history nearly erase it? Before we dive into this forgotten mystery, make sure to subscribe for more ancient secrets and mysteries across America. First encounter, the Spanish records. Then, in the late 1500s, conquistadors under Juan de Oñate marched into Kansas, expecting scattered tribes and nomadic hunters. Instead, they wrote about endless clusters of houses, stretching for miles. These were not simple huts. The city was organized with streets and districts, and home to tens of thousands. To the Spaniards, it looked like a hidden empire on the plains. Now, for centuries, historians dismissed these accounts as exaggerations. Surely nothing like that existed in Kansas, a place thought to be inhabited only by small, mobile bands. But archaeology is catching up to the old records. Pottery fragments, stone tools, and settlement patterns are revealing that Etzanoa might have been exactly as described. A massive, structured city erased from maps for 400 years. Life in Etzanoa. Then, the people of Etzanoa were not mere wanderers. They lived in beehive-shaped grass houses, each capable of holding large families. Fields of corn, beans, and squash stretched across the landscape. The river provided fish and water, while trade connected them to distant cultures. Imagine thousands of families working the land, their homes forming neighborhoods that stretched as far as the eye could see. Now, archaeologists piecing together artifacts now see proof of an advanced society. Grinding stones, tools, and ceramics speak of a culture rooted in agriculture and craftsmanship. This was not an isolated outpost. It was part of a larger network of trade that reached across North America. Etzanoa wasn't just a lost city. It may have been a hub of power, wealth, and knowledge, conflict and collapse. Then, Spanish records describe how the people of Etzanoa faced invasions and pressures. When Oñate's men marched in, violence erupted. The Spaniards, armed with cannons and muskets, clashed with warriors defending their homeland. Blood was spilled, villages burned, and thousands fled into the surrounding plains. This may have been the beginning of the end for Etzanoa. Now, historians believe the combination of Spanish aggression, rival tribes, and the spread of European diseases weakened the city. A once thriving metropolis suddenly became vulnerable. Within a few generations, the great city was abandoned, its people dispersed. By the time later settlers arrived, Etzanoa had become a ghost, swallowed by the grasslands, leaving only whispers in old Spanish diaries. The forgotten city. Then, after the Spanish retreat, Etzanoa faded from European memory. No grand chronicles, no maps to mark its existence, just fragments in scattered reports. For the native peoples, oral traditions spoke of great cities, but the colonizers ignored them. Etzanoa slipped into legend, a ghost city erased from the history books. Now, for nearly 400 years, no one looked for Etzanoa. Scholars assumed Kansas held nothing but prairies and buffalo. It wasn't until the late 20th and early 21st centuries that archaeologists began to uncover evidence. Pottery shards, tools, stone arrowheads that pointed to something much bigger. The city was real and it had been forgotten. Rediscovery begins. Then, imagine walking through the grasslands in the 1600s, passing countless homes, fields, and people. Yet centuries later, nothing but silence remained. The Spanish once stood in awe of Etzanoa, but their words were dismissed as fantasy. Now, in recent decades, archaeologists in Arkansas City, Kansas, began uncovering evidence that matched the descriptions. Massive settlement patterns, artifacts spread across miles, and even battle remnants from Oñate's clash all aligned with the Spanish records. The legend of Etzanoa was coming back to life, not as myth but as reality. A city of 20,000. Then, to put Etzanoa in perspective, in 1600, London's population was about 200,000. The entire colony of Jamestown had fewer than 200 people. Yet here, in the Kansas plains, stood a city of over 20,000. That meant Etzanoa was one of the largest settlements in North America at the time, rivaling even major European centers. Now, this revelation is rewriting American history. The idea that the Great Plains were empty wilderness is false. Etzanoa shows us that advanced, complex societies flourished in places we least expected. The city challenges the entire narrative of uncivilized tribes, and instead paints a picture of an organized, powerful culture hidden in plain sight. For the archaeological evidence, then, Spanish diaries described rows of houses, thousands of residents, and fields of crops. They saw warriors in the thousands defending their homeland. The Spaniards were stunned. This was no small encampment. Now, modern excavations uncovered pottery fragments decorated with intricate designs, stone tools, and the remains of fortified structures. In 2015, archaeologists even discovered the site of a massive battle, matching the Spanish accounts. Every shovel of earth brings Etzanoa out of myth and back into history. Why did Etzanoa vanish? Then, Etzanoa thrived for centuries. But after the arrival of Europeans, the story turned tragic. Warfare, epidemics, and forced migrations tore the city apart. Families abandoned their homes. Entire neighborhoods fell silent. The once great city was left to the winds and grass of the plains. Now, historians are still trying to understand why Etzanoa collapsed. Was it disease, carried unknowingly by Europeans? Was it warfare, breaking the spine of a great nation? Or did climate shifts make survival impossible? The truth may be a combination of all three, but the mystery remains unsolved. Legends and memory. Then, for the descendants of the Wichita and related peoples, Etzanoa lived on in memory. Stories of grand settlements and powerful ancestors were passed down, even as outsiders dismissed them. Now, today, Native communities see the rediscovery of Etzanoa as a vindication. The oral traditions were true. Their ancestors really did build vast cities, and their legacy is being unearthed after centuries of doubt. Etzanoa is not just an archaeological site. It's living history for the people whose bloodlines trace back to its builders. Etzanoa today. Then, for centuries ago, Etzanoa was alive. Markets buzzing, families farming, children playing in a thriving city of grass houses. It was a beating heart of the plains. Now, today, the site lies quiet in Kansas, beneath fields and small towns. But signs mark the rediscovery, and tours are beginning to show the world what was lost. Slowly, Etzanoa is reclaiming its place as one of America's great ancient cities, forcing us to rethink history and honor a civilization nearly erased. The mystery remains. Then, Etzanoa was a city of dreams, a civilization that thrived long before America's birth, then vanished almost overnight. Its builders lived, worked, and thrived on the Kansas plains, only to be swallowed by time. Now, we are only beginning to uncover its secrets. Who were the leaders of Etzanoa? What wisdom did they hold? And how many more forgotten cities lie hidden beneath America's? Etzanoa was a city of dreams, a civilization that thrived long before America's birth, then vanished almost overnight. Its builders lived, worked, and thrived on the Kansas plains, only to be swallowed by time. Now, we are only beginning to uncover its secrets. Who were the leaders of Etzanoa? What wisdom did they hold? And how many more forgotten cities lie hidden beneath America's soil? The more we discover, the more questions appear. Was Etzanoa just one jewel in a vast network of lost civilizations across North America? Or is it the first piece of a much larger puzzle waiting to be solved? If you enjoyed this journey into America's lost city, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are countless ancient mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and together, we'll keep exploring the forgotten past.